Has, because she never missed an opportunity to go and photograph concerts or artists that came through the city. The beauty of her work creates an image in your mind of something really important happening, and so you want to experience that for yourself, and then you know that you really miss very special performances.
Sometimes I will keep both eyes open, one looking through the lens and having a close-up of the face of the musician, and my other eye will take in the whole band. It will be like a double exposure, and it just makes one an incredible experience. You can get lost and just groove to what you see and what you hear at the same time.
Lenny was right there, and that's kind of the record we have of that time. One of the few records. When people think of Detroit, they think of those images that Lenny took and that she was a part of.
We didn't get paid. We lived in the county and we had enough food to eat and pay the rent, but we never got paid for those jobs. I never liked the term counterculture because we weren't counter anything. We would just pull something else, We just wanted to leave the 50s behind and move into the avant-garde, move into the new age.
People that make culture are part of a revolution. She did things that's really far out, work that's almost like theater, where a lot of photographers weren't thinking along those lines yet. I don't think there's enough out there. I think we've only seen a small part of it.
And to me, I feel like this is just the beginning. My negatives don't lie, they're all there in their envelopes. Waiting to tell the truth. That Detroit is the epicenter of creativity. Detroit is where it's at. If you think of yourself as an artist, then you never feel that, because whatever you have to do helps you continue your work of art. And that's my claim to fame. I'm going to go with the camera.
So that goes back 10 years ago, and I went to visit Leni in her home. And we were going through those negatives, and I was incredibly nervous about the fact that her entire history was in this one house. And do you still have everything stored at your house? Is some of that digitized now? Those negatives?
They're all in my house.
The same boxes?
Yeah, they're still waiting to be archived.
Okay. Anybody who wants to help with that would be great, because Leni occupies this very special place in Detroit's history and documenting a very vibrant and exciting time in Motor City. How did it feel looking at all those photos like that, so close together?
I'm wondering about myself, what made me take so many pictures. And I still don't have time to process them yet.
Can you guys hear Leni okay?
Really not.
Okay, Leni, so we have to get you just a little here, a little closer.
Oh, I have a problem with the microphone.
I mean, do you still take pictures today? So we have, okay, before we do this, how many photographers are in this room? I know, look at all of them. So there's a whole bunch of photographers in this room. Certainly curious about the work that you did.
I will never do the pictures. I'm kind of retired, except I have an iPhone, and if I want to save something I like to see, I shoot my iPhone. like probably everybody else who uses a camera now. It takes good pictures, so why do I need a camera anymore?
Do you have any of your old cameras?
Yeah.
The camera?
The ones that I use for most of my pictures, my first camera was a Texona that got lost in '67, and then I had a Panther for almost 20 years, and after that I got a Nikon. I thought would even look at my Panther, but it wasn't. It wasn't any better, and a better name.
So talk about your journey to Detroit and ending up here.
The reason I ended up in Detroit was that I had some relatives here. I had an aunt and about 7 cousins who all emigrated from Germany to Detroit. And most of my cousins were mechanics in the VW work in Wolfsburg. And when they came to America, they were mostly active in the VW trade and repair. And so they were my sponsors to come over and emigrate to America. And when I was 18, I was able to escape from East Germany. And I wanted to escape from East Germany primarily to come to America. I had a cousin who painted such wonderful pictures of life in America. And so I spent a year in West Germany and then I emigrated to Detroit. I came on the big ship, the SS United States, which was recently decommissioned and put in the Bay of Alabama, the Bay of the Gulf of Mexico, to a plants and the fishes. So they were trying to keep the SS United States afloat and make a restaurant.
When you got here, when you got to Detroit, got to the United States, was it what you thought it was going to be?
Oh no, I was terribly disappointed. And when I arrived in New York, I did a little sightseeing. I had a sponsor who took me around and we saw the Empire State Building and saw all the skyscrapers in New York. And when I arrived in Detroit at the Central Station in the railroad in Detroit, my cousins picked me up and they took me to where my aunt lived near Hanna. And anyway, somewhere on the east side, and the whole way from the train station to the house with all the buildings, like one-story buildings, one after another, with no special characters in the room. So where did I land here? I had not seen downtown. I found out downtown a little bit later. So my first impression was that I was in town.
No, Detroit's not a huge town. So once you got settled, you were 18 years old when you got here, right? You were 19 when you got here. And you had a camera, because you bought it before you got on the boat, right? On the ship.
Yes, I bought it before I left East Germany.
But you weren't a photographer at that time. You just had to spend money, right?
Yes, right, I just had to buy something that was worth something to take with me. And so there was a little Texas camera. It was a camera that took square pictures, and you could get about 56 pictures on one wall, so those were all square. camera at this camera place in New York for $99. And it lasted me just about a day after the warranty ran out. And so anyway.
So, when you started taking photographs, what were you photographing? Like, when did you start, like, documenting the city, the music, the culture? When did that start to become part of what made you want to take photographs? When did all that begin?
It began when I started going to Wayne State, and I started being active in student government, and I went and joined SDS, and I went on a national convention. And so I took pictures of my friends in SDS, and took pictures of demonstrations against the war. Anyway, I took pictures in student government. And so, but to really take some pictures that are important didn't start until I married John Sinclair, who became my husband. And together we taught out this workshop. And because I had a camera, it was left for me to take pictures of all of the activities.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, like the poetry meetings and the concert for 2 years. It was like the golden age of cultural exchange. And so it's when I started thinking of myself as a photographer.
Did you surprise yourself at how good your photographs were?
Not then.
Not then? But you know how good
I wrote Allen Ginsberg in an interview with Pete Worley.
you know where we spent there, so there it is.
I don't know if he archived in his conversations with Allen Ginsberg said once, a good photograph gets better with time. So my photographs I took in the 60s are some of my best photographs, some of them are in the show.
Absolutely. Well, look over, or actually, so that photo of Miles Davis, do you remember taking a photo with him?
Oh yes, I was at the Detroit Blues and Jazz Festival in Ann Arbor in 1972.
And did you get to meet him?
No,
Just photographed him that night.
yeah.
That is an incredible photo of him. Like, you captured everything about him. Don't you think?
Well, I never thought of it that way, but it was just Miles Davis.
Oh, it's a pretty great photo.
Thank you.
And then the one next to it is a Detroit legend, of course, Marcus Belgrave. Did you ever get to know him?
Yes, get to know him very well because we worked with him. I don't know how, when I met him first, but when he came to Detroit, he was involved in teaching a lot of people, a lot of young people. And I took pictures of his workshops. And I took pictures of him all through the years.
There's a photograph that you took of him, he's standing in the snow, it's snowing, and he's playing the trumpet. It's a stunning photograph. I think I might need to get a print.
That was at the funeral for Jimmy Allen.
Yeah, it's a beautiful photo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a beautiful service. Jimmy Allen was a drummer for Sam Sanders, and he supposed to be like the next big thing after Alvin Jones. Because he was actually but then he got cancer. And then Sam Sanders moved to Africa and he passed away.
So, what was Detroit like then? I mean, after you met John and you guys were together and then you were photographing all of this whole culture and the vibrance that was happening in Detroit at that time. Talk about what Detroit was like.
Well, when we started the Detroit Artist Workshop, it was like we stepped out of regular life and started our own company and put on our own concerts and our own events and worked totally outside of the establishment. And when the contact with Wayne State, except we entered the space, we put on concerts with people like Cecil Taylor, like the Art Ensemble of Chicago. And we held this concert at the stage. Because I was still a student at Wayne State, and I started an organization called the Friends of the Artist Workshop, which allowed us to rent facilities at Wayne State.
What were you studying at Wayne State?
When I first applied to Wayne State, it was like almost like a fluke, because I was hanging out with some beatniks, and I thought in order to be a bona fide beatnik, you have to be a student, because they all seem to be students at Wayne State, and so they said, you can be a student too, it's easy, you just have to apply. So applied, and after 6 months of being in this country and trying to learn English, I applied and lo and behold, they accepted me. And so they asked me, what would you like to major in? And I said, journalism, because I tried to write about my experience of escaping from East Germany. And so halfway through the class of journalism, I realized I wouldn't be able to pass because my English was not properly, not good enough yet. And so I switched it to geography. Geography was something came easy to me because in Germany, geography is the main subject for study, same as writing and math. So I knew about geography, and you didn't know so much English to do it. And so that's why I never graduated yet. When I tried to go back to school after maybe 20 years ago, they said, no, the geography department has been abolished 20 years ago. I couldn't. And in order to graduate, I would have to take 26 credit hours in drawing studies. What do I need it for? My life is already worthwhile.
Your life was incredibly full.
It sure is,
And it still is. So let's talk about some of the Detroiters that you photographed. I think one of your favorite people was Bob Seger.
Yes.
Because you thought he was cute.
No, I just loved his voice, his singing, it was amazing.
So did you get to choose who you were going to photograph? How did that work? Like
No,
today, if I were asked to jump through all kinds of hoops, I can go photograph anybody. Was it that difficult to do that?
No, we were always involved in contributing to newspapers, like the Fifth Estate. I contributed photographs when it first started. And mostly I took photographs because somebody asked me for instance, John would, we would publish magazines and books, and if we needed a picture for the cover, he would say, go take a picture of so-and-so, and I would go take a picture of so-and-so. And so I got some nice pictures early on.
You sure did.
Yeah.
You absolutely did.
So I didn't do it because I was a photographer. I just needed to do my job.
When did you finally realize that you were a photographer and a really good one?
I still am.
And you want a lot more up to that?
Oh my God.
Some of your photos have become absolutely iconic. The Fela photo, Fela Kuti in particular. Can you see it over my shoulder? You can see it over here.
Yes, that's one of my most famous pictures in Africa.
And that's an iconic image, yes.
Yeah, and they used my photograph somewhat plagiarized my pictures, and they asked me when I complained about it, they asked me, what would you like to get? And I said, how about the all expense paid to Lagos? And they granted me that, and I went to Lagos for a week for the Fela celebration. They have every fall to celebrate his life. And then Lagos, when some of the people there found out that I was the one who took the pictures of Fela, they kind of bowed down to me. That was amazing. It was exciting. But they've been using my pictures in Lagos for the last 10 or how many years for advertising on t-shirts and flags and billboards and everything.
That image is everywhere.
I know.
I think maybe we'll get you more than a trip.
And you know, Fela has been nominated for a special award for the Lennon recently.
That photo is everywhere and iconic, one of the best things you ever took.
I'm proud of it. I was at the Fox Theater, and it was his first concert he played in America after he was released from jail.
And you were there.
And the tour from America, and that was it.
1986, right? So there's a photo of Iggy over there. That's a great shot of him. Did you you have a number of photographs of him, don't you?
Who is he?
Iggy.
Jiggy, no, I only have a few photographs of Jiggy that
That one's
and
amazing.
thankfully I got that one. That was an iconic one.
What did you think seeing him perform?
Oh, he was fantastic. He was so energetic and so fun to watch. But I only photographed him as a sideline because my main job was to photograph the MC5, which was an image. And so sometimes the baby and the Stooges, the psychedelic Stooges would be opening up for the MC5, and I would get some pictures of Biggie because he was there.
Well, I guess we should talk about the MC5.
Oh, yes.
Becky Tyner is here. There she is right there. Becky, you're here. Becky Tyner, we have a lot of great folks in this audience today. Hi, Becky. Thank you for being here. Talk about what it was like to be around that band and watch them turn into the band they became.
Well, it was a whole commune full of people who were working really much to help them become more famous. There was Becky Tyner and Gina Dolan, and they were designers designing and clothes. And there was Ian Crimshaw doing posters, and there was slideshow, and we were always really doing simple things. And that's how I got my legs moving now, because we had to shoot the movie for them. So we could show us some horses to get more gigs, And I think the short that we made in 1968 called Kick Out the Jazz was the first video of a band, although it was before video was on film, and it had to be synced to the sound from the records.
Right.
The camera didn't take any sound, so we were all very excited about Nancy Five, and a whole lot of people listening to it. So the MC5, sometime I think somebody should write a book or research the women of the MC5 did to help them get famous, So I'm no age.
All the women behind.
We're all revolutionaries and St. Paul,
I think that's a great idea for a book.
Yes, I wish I could write it.
The women behind MC5. Well, there is a book that I think should be written and a movie that should be made. So this is a story that it blows my mind to this day that it is not well known. And this is a story. I ended up interviewing Leni and John Sinclair within a few months of each other, and I have both of them tell me this story. It's a very interesting experience for me to have John tell the story and to have you tell the story. But I'm going to have you tell this story because there's so many implications here. It involves Judge David Keith, who is a hero in all of this, of course. But I would love for you to tell this audience that story because it is compelling and it is hard to believe that it's still sort of a secret in a way.
The story about how we became the White Panther Party.
The Watergate thing and the White Panther Party.
Yeah. Well, we kind of followed politics. We were following the Black Panther Party and their activities in Brooklyn or in Oakland. And we know there were some white radicals in Brooklyn who wanted to join the Black Panther Party. And the Black Panther Party leaders like U.P. Newton or Alicia we are the Black Panther Party, although they're not a nationalist organization, they were kind of like a Marxist structure. But they said white people should start their own organizations. If they want to help the Black Panther Party, they should start their own parties to help out. So realizing that the members of the MC5 and the audience and John Sinclair and Patrick London and were sitting around saying, what about we're already doing the job organizing white people to be progressive, so why don't we call ourselves White Panther Party? And since it was spearheaded by the MC5, there was no mistake that it was a white, and then it was negative. So the MC5 were the poster child for the White Panther Party. And we started organizing and chapters in other places. And all this is for the White Panther Party. Famous when there was a bombing in Ann Arbor in 1968, I believe. The bomb went off and the building, which was disguised as like a little state office or something, but it was really a recruiting office for CIA agents. They would go to college, to the youth classes, and listen to people who may be candidates for being CIA agents. And so somebody must have found out about it. We didn't know about it then, but somebody must have found out about it and set off a bomb in that local night. And nothing happened. They didn't arrest anybody or accuse anybody. But about a year later, an indictment came down from Washington, charging John Sinclair, Pantraman, and Jack Force with destroying government property for the bomb. And John was already in jail by then for his marijuana thing. He said he didn't know anything about it. He never even seen any dynamite himself. And so,
John was already in prison for selling 2 joints to an undercover.
giving
Giving 2 joints.
Yeah. So when it came to the trial of the White Panther Party members for blowing up the CIA office, we by chance got Leni Keith at the trial judge. And after denying several motions, we brought our lawyer, Bill Kunstler, made a motion for the government to show safely any illegal wiretaps and no wiretaps, because by law they were supposed to show to the judge. And so the federal attorney said, no, we don't have to do that. And Judge Damon Keith said, what do you mean? It's a law, you have to do this. He said, no, we don't. And he said,
So
why not?
the federal government said we don't have to show that we
don't have to obey the law.
Yeah.
And so Judge Damon Keith insisted on them obeying the law, so they took him to jail. No, they took him to court to recant. But in the 7th District Court, we got upheld.
So they were going after Judge Damon Key,
Right.
the federal government.
Provided they were under their own sense. And
So Judge Damon Keith is now going on. There was a case. It was the federal government versus Judge Damon Keith, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
The government took the case immediately to the Supreme Court because they thought they could win in the Supreme Court.
Nixon was the president at the time.
And what they were trying to do is literally the Fourth Amendment, so Nixon alone would have all the power over who to indict and completely overruling the judicial. And there were 9 Supreme Court judges, no, there were 8 Supreme Court judges. When it came down to judging under the new law that the government was trying to pass, we won four judges. And even they couldn't stop the idea of losing their own power, you know. It's like, so they voted against it.
Now, just prior to that was Watergate. And they were not putting wiretaps in, they were taking them out before the judgment came down, correct?
Yes, I mean, can anybody think Nixon was so stupid, knowing he was going to lose the next day? He had to take him out real quick.
So that's a part of the story that's so crazy, is that they weren't putting wiretaps and they were going in there to take them out because they knew that the judgment was coming down in 2 days. Is that right?
They say it's never been proven, but they think otherwise. Common sense. Anyway,
Cannot be overrated, by the way.
Anyway, the attorneys who were defending us in the Supreme Court, one of them was Arthur Kenoy, who was the dean of the Rutgers Law School, and the other lawyer was William T. Gossett, which is a name that should be known much better, because William T. Gossett was a corporate lawyer who used to be a lawyer for the Ford Motor Company for 12 years, and he got appointed to defend Damon Keith in the case. Arthur Kenoy was kind of defending the White Panther Party, and William T. Gossett was defending him participating with the White Panther Party, even though he got a lot of flack from college. So,
Judge Damon Keith did.
no, William T. Gossett was called a lawyer who defended the White Panther Party underground. He was saying, I'm a conservative, but my job is to control the Constitution of the country. And so we won.
Did you think you were going to win?
Oh, no. We didn't know. If we didn't win, John would have been eligible to spend another 25 years in jail. And so it was impossible. That's the understanding. So if we had a Supreme Court like we had back then,
That's a whole other conversation. When you look back at that time, and that you were a part of such what I would consider a landmark case that people don't readily talk about, what do you think about that time? Were you more hopeful then than you are now about where this country is?
I mean, we consider ourselves revolutionaries. If you're a revolutionary, you can't be pessimistic, or else you're not one. You have to believe that life can get better. That's why you do what you do. So you will have a hopeful. But then you know what happened with John's case after John got out from the marijuana charge. The state of Michigan, the Supreme Court of the state of Michigan, struck down the old marijuana law, which was like 10 years for possession, and under which John was sentenced. He was sentenced to 9.5 to 10 years for possession of 2 joints, and was big outcry for the reason, ending in John Lennon coming to our benefit. And so the marijuana law 1-year max, and that was the law until I'm the books for the next, until it became medical marijuana in 2009. So this stood from the year 1972 to the year 2009 was the law of weed one. And the rest of it is history. You all know. The words all goes in, you know.
Leni, is there anything in your life you wish you would have done that you didn't get to?
I am sorry that I was like so far apart from my family in Germany, and in the meantime, one sister passed away, my brother passed away, and I was too busy with my life in America to pay close attention to my original family. That's something I regret, but it's the way it went.
Did you get back to Germany very often?
Not that long, but after the wall came down, my brother was able to come with me and be toyed, and I could go with it. Maybe once every 3 or 4 years. So not so much anymore.
Right. You told me before we sat down that there's a photo of you with a hammer on the wall. So Leni, you had someone take your camera to take a picture of you. Tell us about that.
Yes, I was,
The Berlin Wall.
when the wall was forged, I was watching TV and I was so emotional. I borrowed money and I just told myself to go to Germany, and about 2 days after the first wall, and I was there with my camera and I was taking pictures of the wall and all the graffiti on the wall and I bought a hammer for my brother-in-law and tried to cut some pieces of the wall for myself. And I gave my camera to another guy by the wall, and I passed him by and I asked him, could you take my picture? And he took my picture at the wall with my hammer, which is one of my favorite photos, even though it's not one I took myself. A picture of myself that was going into my life. But without the shot, he was right up.
Yeah. Look at those photos of you right there. What would you say to her? You had to talk to her when she showed up in Detroit. What advice would you give her now? Those pictures are lovely of you. Is that the camera that you got to take the photo of MC5? The one on the right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it the one?
And I did shoot and a lot of my footage ended up in there. And put in induction and a lot more and use some of my footage in presentation. And just proud of what finally, after so many years, the MC5 got some recognition finally.
Yeah. That was a long time coming, wasn't it?
Because they were too radical. They would not even be allowed to play at Woodstock because they were too radical.
Did they want us at Woodstock?
They probably would have.
So was that no problem for them? The fact that they were radical and so associated with the White Panther Party, did that hurt them, do you think?
I think they were trying to remedy them by showing John, and trying to become more commercial. But it didn't work because he can take them out of Detroit, but he can't take Detroit out of them. So it didn't work. And there's a tragedy what happened to all the levels of the family.
When they changed rock and roll, they changed music for sure,
Then,
to this day. So
anyway, they were my heroes.
they are the heroes to a lot of us. Who, when you saw so many people perform, are there performances that stand out to you to this day that you'll never forget?
Yeah, one was seeing that whole lounge. And it was in 1966 when John Coltrane was doing residency and played a whole week at the whole lounge. I was there almost every night. It was very hard to get a picture of John Coltrane because they only had one little red line.
It's that shot, right?
Only one little red line above the band, and it was hard to get a good shot. But I got a couple of good ones down for
So look at that shot. You must be pretty proud of that. Who else? You shot photos of Prince, didn't you? Like the first time he was here?
Oh, yeah. I got those pictures almost by accident. Because my daughter, who's here right now, she was 12 years old and she was a Prince fanatic. Wrote all his lyrics and everything, And when he announced the concert in Detroit, she made me buy tickets and be the chapel when she was born, So.
Did you know who he was?
I had heard some of his songs and some of my kind of.
And so you guys went to the show in
So we
February.
went to the show, and that was a fantastic show. It was really great.
Where was it?
It was at Cold Hall. And I don't know to this day if I was using a wide angle, telephoto lens, or if I had good seats. I don't remember.
Where's Sonny? Sonny, where were you guys sitting?
Pretty close.
That's pretty close.
And he had a guitar player called Des Nicholson, and twins and Des Nicholson were playing together, and it reminded me so much of when the MC5 was playing, was when Kramer and Fred Smith playing together. It was like heaven. And so the reminding things, and the biggest reminding of the MC5.
Who else comes to mind that you'd love to see perform?
Well, it's kind of a process that I met some African traditions and there were people. And they played in Detroit, and I kind of fell in love with them. The rector of Washington, Frank, who was the leader of the PPP, and he was not with the tour in Detroit anymore because he had to stay in Brussels and he died shortly thereafter.
photo of Janis Joplin in Detroit Metro Airport. You just walked through the airport, or what?
Oh, we went to yeah. And so we had a thing that was somebody coming in from the airport. We were all by our way to pick them up. And so they came in and Metro Airport. And I was on the play at the binding because I might have had to stay home babysitting or something. Who knows? I don't know. But he is with Janis Joplin. Pictures with James Gurley. Now James Gurley was the founder of Big Brother and the Gurley Company. And I met James Gurley shortly after they moved to Detroit. And got to know this group of so-called beatniks. And James Gurley and his wife Nancy was with them. They used to play around before with the families in Detroit. And so when I remember, I was invited to them. And at one point, they were all sitting around on the floor on the sofa, maybe 10 or 12 people, and they started passing a marijuana cigarette. And me, I was behind my ears, I didn't know what it was, and I was kind of scared. So I did not inhale. I pretended I inhaled, but I didn't. I was too scared. That was not a big deal.
Are you glad you stayed in Detroit all this time?
I am so glad because I tried to move away for a while when I had a chance to sell my house, and I had $10,000 to play around with, and I thought I would move to New Orleans. Celia was already living in New Orleans. Celia started going to college and tried all the college in New Orleans, and so I thought I would try to live in a climate where it doesn't snow. And I stood it out for about 5 years, but then I came back to Detroit, and I'm so glad I'm this country, because I have stayed in this country.
We certainly need to do something about those negatives, but that's for another time. So, does anybody have any questions for Leni?
So nice to meet you. I have a shared history with my parents in East Germany in the mid-1950s from Haus Magdeburg. Magdeburg, ja. Mein Vater war weggenommen weil Stasi hat ihn weggenommen. Stasi, the East German secret police that took my father away and was arrested against his conscience and was interrogated for 3 days. My father got out of East Germany. Right after that, he rode from Magdeburg to Berlin and got out. And it's like I say, it's incredible that you and I have a shared history. My parents are now gone, but it's been a big part of my history, and I'm just enamored of listening to you and listening to your history. I'm so gratified that you're here to be able to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I had the honor of seeing John Sinclair open for Rodriguez at the Crowfoot in Pontiac, and then we followed Rodriguez down here to the old Miami. And I was wondering if you ran those shows.
No, I would not. I saw Rodriguez once at the old Miami, but I didn't get any pictures, unfortunately.
Do you have any more of your footage? And can we see it?
I don't know how you can see it. My movie footage is under contract with a company called Retro Video, and they distribute my footage for me. I don't have any way to show any. I don't have a projector.
Do you have footage at home though? Do you have more film at home?
No, it's all been digitized and it's being distributed.
Do you get royalties?
Yes, I do, thank God.
We can help with that. And your historical society can absolutely show your footage to these folks. Guys, thank you very much for your attention, Lenny. And we do have two legendary women on stage. We're really proud to induct Anne onto Legends Plaza a couple of years ago, and I can only imagine that it's only moments away before we induct Leni also. So thank you so much for all of your words and for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for doing this for me.
Leni's exhibition is open, and it'll be open for a year. So we hope, if you haven't been here since 3rd grade or haven't been here at all, you will come back often and see the exhibition. We are going to let Leni enjoy her exhibit. We're going to clear this. Hassan Belgrave is here with his project. And they're going to set up, and in a few minutes from now, we're going to hear from them as well. So stay tuned, enjoy the exhibit in the meantime.